Well, now you get to see how non-NPR people do it.
I believe the phrase is idiots, but that
works too. Rhyme or free, it doesn't matter to me. It's my bad poetry. Good day, and welcome to My Bad Poetry, a podcast where we take a deep dive into our poems from youth, yesteryear, or even yesterday. Always asking the question, why in the world did I write this? I'm Aaron.
And I'm Dave.
And today we are joined by the founder of the Southern Collective Experience, the editor-in-chief of the journal, The Blue Mountain Review, the host of the NPR show Dante's Old South, a faculty of the Company of Writers, a co-host of This Business of Music and Poetry, creator of tutorials on poetry through the Noetic teaching application, a guide for a Montessori class, and an instructor through UCLA Extensions. And yes, this is all one person. Charles Clifford Brooks III, we are thrilled you found the time to be on our show.
God, I'm having a panic attack. I didn't realize I did that much until you listed it all out, man. It is fantastic to be here. Deep breath, woosah.
It's a little impressive, not gonna lie.
I appreciate that, man.
It took me ages to put together that profile for you. Tell me, how long have you been involved in the Montessori class?
This is my first year. I started in July. It's a program that I've been fascinated with from afar for almost a decade. So I mentioned that not only is the time important as far as establishment, but to be able to see the numerous, if not 100% of their students go on to do these wonderful things because they think outside the box.
Right.
You know? And so to be in there on the ground floor teaching elementary is it gives me back my youth, man. It's amazing.
That's really cool.
I have been making Montessori toys for the last 3 years. I've been making wooden toys in my garage, so I'm very appreciative of the Montessori schools because they help me buy whiskey.
Well, you're cool on two levels there. One, the Montessori toy making. We need to talk about that, and I need to get my boss Angela. Two, the whiskey end. That was the bomb.
There we go. Okay,
when
good.
You tied up with booze, I'm like, that's my homie.
Right, that makes sense.
But Cliff, can we call you Cliff?
Please do. Please.
Okay. Allow Dave to tell you what crappy whiskey he does drink.
All right.
Okay. I will admit that when Aaron and I were first becoming friends, I may have made him drink a little too much Black Velvet.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's not actually whiskey. It's just pain in a bottle.
That's what a hangover tastes like.
My taste has gotten better since then. I'll say that.
Good. All due to Montessori toys. All right.
I think so, yeah.
Toys.
To get us all into the realm of poetry and at about an elementary level, Dave is going to share a poem that he has written for this week. Dave, what do you got for us?
I feel offended on behalf of elementary school children everywhere because this poem does not count. So this is called Pronunciations. The great connoisseur will explain how epitaphs are written in pain. Only a wise master of ballades knows how sonnets are truly composed. To be as wise and ingenious as me, you would sing limerics to the tree. The only goal I find great is bothering wonderful poet.
Dude, I actually like that a lot. I do. Halfway through, I was like, I thought these were supposed to suck, man. That's witty as heck. That's witty, bro.
I wrote this one because I was taking an online class. I was doing a continuing ed thing, and I had the leader of the class was mispronouncing all of these things, and it bothered me so deeply because he wanted me to believe he was a genius. And as he's like just mispronouncing the bare minimum things, I'm like, what is happening here? So
it's like getting verbally assaulted. It
right?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a good time.
Oh man, I like the sarcasm in it is what wins me, dude. You can it is a grossly underused, underappreciated facet of poetry. You really don't find that many snarky American poets. The Brits kind of have a niche right there.
Right, they get it.
I get the mispronunciation from the title on, especially when you get to sonnets. I always laugh when people say like, "Oh, I only write sonnets." I'm like, "You only write terrible poetry."
Yeah, correct.
You know, if your poetry calls for that form, when you reverse engineer it, it's because you're using the form. In my opinion, you're using it to mask the fact that you need to be a dentist.
Yes, I love it.
And that joke sometimes doesn't land, and when there's crickets, I'm like, oh god.
You found the right group here, because Dave basically just writes in limericks and
yeah, I'm terrible at this. So limericks, haikus, and then kind of that free verse dumb stuff.
Yeah, my high school poetry could have benefited from structure, I think. So
yeah.
It's awful.
There has to be a structure. I think you know, there's some parameter. It's like when people are like, oh, I'm going to touch on this and then I'm going to run away from it. Free jazz. It hurts my tongue to say that. It's like there's no rules. It's like, no, you're not a musician. You know, it sounds like that's what happens when a school bus catches on fire. That's what that sounds like. You know, jazz does have a construct.
Right.
You know? A friend of mine said about life in general, you pick the shape of your own box. And I feel that way about poetry, you know, but there has to be some parameters. And so you keep that. And rhyme is tricky. Rhyme is another thing that I think can be abused in a heartbeat. And I don't feel that in your poem. And so, I mean, again, I think I'm messing up y'all's show. Like maybe I'm supposed to be kicking you in the teeth, but that's not bad, man.
Well, I have to say, you're endangering our audience insulting free jazz, and then just last episode, Dave insulted all of Sondheim. I mean,
yeah, I'm fine with that though.
This is my party. We're gonna get into a bar fight and we're gonna win, gentlemen.
Yes,
we're meeting. You see it? All right, Bruce.
Well, let's get into the boxes you have made for yourself. What bad poetry do you bring to the table?
All right, so, oh god, so this poem is called Bad Poetry. Now I've edited this to keep it G. Bad poems. Bad poems are unlucky pennies. They keep turning up. To sell this poem is trading a dead puppy for an abortion. Practicing the performance of bad poetry complains to the back of a deaf man's head. But not to write is worse. Good or bad, the practice prevents sepsis of the senses. The gods abhor neglect, abhor repetition. Bad poems are unlucky pennies. They keep turning up. I can't believe I wrote that. I wrote way worse. I don't know why I'm sitting here playing like, I can't believe I wrote that. I was there. I did it.
I think it's beautiful. I might have to run to the bathroom because I'm like viscerally engaged in that, but you know.
That's the response I got across the board.
Well, when you evoke dead puppies in like the second stanza or whatever, however you broke that.
Well, I didn't want you to wait.
Ooh,
I didn't want people, you know.
You just rip that bandage off right there.
I do. Like, hello. I was not in a good mood that day.
Yeah, maybe we need some context for this.
Thank you. You saw me just like, man, let me say, please tell the story for people run. Like, get the kids away from I was in my latter 20s, and it's so laughable now. You know, you're bitter because like the world has not made you a Pulitzer winner in, you know, every genre that you've ever dipped your toe in, and it's all unfair. And but I'm beginning to be old enough, and at that time I was getting traction in the literary world to see that this was going somewhere. So it was my late 20s were a very emotional puberty where I was grappling and growing out of and shucking this old skin and tight suit for a stronger man. In that process, I got bitter. I got going to see, not feeling that I fit in. I'm on the spectrum, neurodivergent, autistic. And so performing and getting out in front of people and reading something so personal was heady on in several dimensions for me. And but in that process, and trying to understand people, and it's a for anybody. I'm not just saying like, oh my God, only me. With anybody out there, man, it can be tough. But in that process, and seeing other poets and seeing and again, like, it's so silly to be bitter about it. How I couldn't relate, and the poetry that was over the top, and where the volume was so high, and you could see the whole room pull back and shut down. One afternoon, it coagulated into this. In the first half, bad poems are unlucky pennies. You're never happy when one gets written. You know what I'm saying? Or you get into the middle of one and you're like, oh, I'm doing it again. Or it's about something that you've written about 47 times. They keep turning up. Bad pennies keep turning up. And then, I went right into like, oh my God, this is just garbage. And what's the worst two things I could think to trade for? And I thought about it. And I'm not going to tell you the abhorrent list of other duos that I had before this. You want to have to start bleeping me, man. And it goes back to this childish game that I still play with my friends in my mid-40s, where it's like, hey, would you rather do this gross thing or this gross thing?
Yep.
It always has to come out of left field, and you always have to answer. I don't care how. Anyway, so there was that fun in it too, because at no point that's God. Every time I see them, that's terrible. That's terrible, and it's in the new book. It's in Old Gods. That's what they're. It's like, I'm like, oh my God, it's called Bad Poems. Yeah, I got one, fellas. Right. And then just the practicing the performance, practicing getting up in front of people, practicing and reading, regurgitating, puking this garbage into people's laps is like complaining to the back of a deaf man's head. You're not saying anything and no one's hearing you.
Right.
And then this is called the turn in the poem, where Jericho Brown, man, Pulitzer winner, awesome cat. He said he's never started a poem that ended where he thought it would. And that hit me in the stomach, where I was like, because the turn being in the poem where the poet actually finds their twist. Once that concept was introduced to me, it changed the way I saw poetry, where even in my own, there it is, where it's almost like you hit your second wind, where it's like I do end on this. And I think going in dour, people typically wait to the end to punch him in the stomach, that last line. So it's kind of become hackneyed.
Sure.
So I like for people to know right up front, like, yeah, this guy's in a bad mood, but not to write is worse. Anybody who's a writer, the most unhappy, claustrophobic 2 years of my life was when I was like, I'm not going to write. I'm just not going to do it. It's just, why am I doing? And all for all those melodramatic, I think early 20s reasons that you give yourself, and it's not. And again, even dumber, like, why am I not oh God, I was such a jerk. Looking back on it now, I want to slap. So I mean, but not to write is worse, good or bad. The practice prevents sepsis of the senses.
I love that line.
I had to grab a pen and paper to write that down because I love that line. I think that's really good.
It makes you slow down.
Yeah.
And and I'll put those in here because I come from a very long line of car dealers. So I have this penchant while I am from the South, Athens, Georgia, go Dogs. I will talk so fast that your nose will bleed, and you'll get off or away from the phone and want to buy a Chevy Tahoe. And if that should happen to you or any of your listeners, I do apologize.
I thought you were going to give like your phone number so we could call you and see what you got for sale.
You don't want that drama. You do not want that drama. Again, it's fun to say good or bad. The practice prevents the sepsis of the senses. And it's the whole idea of the release of that stress with the gods abhor neglect. You'll lose what you don't cherish, what you're not grateful for. Abhor repetition, and then the little snarky end is that what I'm doing is repeating bad poems or unlucky pennies. They keep turning up. So see, I mean, again, I love it. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it. I like it.
Other than the start,
Yeah, I know. Man.
It has a clever twist. I mean,
Yeah.
the way that it owns
It's got that arc. Yeah.
Yeah, and it almost not nobilizes, but it's like I'm writing, whether it's good or bad, it's not going to be a vacuum. And so I actually think it's not a bad poem. It's not quite living up to its name.
Nobody, including myself, wants to get totally onto this poem. Nobody wants to endorse this thing. So I can hear your voice going, okay, children, I'm not saying that you should write this stuff. But, well, what about you, man? Where's your bad poem? I want to hear your bad poem.
Oh, gosh. Well, we've shared many from my journal of high school. That's how this thing all started. Oh, gosh. I could share with you one that I had on writing.
I was gonna say, I know we have one that
there's something about my words. Let me find that.
Oh gosh, do we have to? I'm gonna let you guys hear this poem. I'm gonna leave.
No,
because I can't hear it again.
Yeah, Dave has already.
You're gonna sit right there and you're going to listen to this poem.
Okay.
Not one single swear word.
Okay, so here's my words. This would have been found in the first season. For diehard listeners,
all 2 of them.
I want to see what you think, Clifford, here. So, my words will never be quoted in a school or speech. And if they are, they will be read incorrectly. For my words are written with emotion and passion unmet by swords from the mouth. By words from the mouth. And that's my handwriting there. Yeah. Each word brings feelings to the page. One must read with a fire on their lips to match the words. Each leaping out of the page, no word goes without meaning. Writing words never to be spoken again, just lost in a passionless world and put out by an immature mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are so self-important.
No. God, you vagrant narcissist. I'm out. No, you didn't tell me it was pick on my abortion and dead puppies. Every time I say it, my mom is very nonplussed by that poem too. By the way, no, dude, that's a young poem, and I say this all the time. I never flatter, so I think it's the only socially acceptable way to lie. Mm-hmm. So when I'm telling you, I mean, and I don't keep it real either. Somebody tells me that garbage, I'm like, you're just get out of my car while it's moving quickly. I would change. I think that slip of the tongue was something cool. Instead of saying words, I'd say swords from the mouth. I like that.
Sure.
I thought that was cool. Then it got very young, and it's where I can remember some poem. I remember the first poem my mom found that I wrote and said, "Oh my God," talking to a girl about being in this mountainside cave, brooding. God, I want to make myself throw up. I haven't told these stories in so long, but it's that. But the idea I saw where the promise was in that, where there was that thing you've got to have that made it fun. So the context of they being read incorrectly, that's cool. No. I like that a lot because I write with emotion. I would take out passion, but leave the emotion because that's the whole cool part. I don't see it as sad because when you do it with finesse, it sets the stage on fire. But the actual performance of poetry, getting up there and not making it abrasive, but putting the pauses and looking up and having a bit of that presence, it'll make people. We all want to be kids again for just that brief moment. We do. Yeah, and when you see somebody up there and they're excited about it and they're reading something and they're talking with their hands, you will get people entranced because they're not used to that. We all go to poetry readings. Don't lie. Don't lie. Don't lie. And we're like, oh God, why am I here? Why am I here? I hate myself. Why? And then so when you get in there and when you find that golden group, man, or like you go see those performers that love being there and want you to love being there, and it's not self-important. If you can get people to laugh, man. And so to circle back around to why I brought all that up, when your poems, it says, I speak with emotion. I've heard people say, I don't like hearing the poets read it because it messes up how I hear it. I'm like, all right, I'm not hanging out with you ever again. I love that. I want to hear how you wrote it. I don't care. Well, I do care, but like to me, it's the creator's lilt. And so but reading with emotion, and that, it's that you go off script and say like, my words won't be written in a speech. So, I mean, as you went through towards the end and you can hear it, man, you'd have like this couplet It'd be mushy where where the mind's trying to figure out what it wants, and then a settling in this crystalline. So if you removed the 16-year-old virgin from these lines, there's some really good ones, man. And I'm telling you, dude, there's so much bad poetry that if this was horrible, I'd be like, yeah, oh my God, you're absolutely right. You should have called this show terrible, make me puke on myself. Poetry. I didn't hurt. No, gentlemen. And it was, I mean, where were you? Do you remember, kind of, yeah, give me the story.
So these poems, I'll show you. This is the Wolf Journal. This is where it was written. My sister gave me this for a birthday present when I was like 12 or something.
It's like as embarrassing as you think it could be.
Yep.
So much more embarrassing. I love it.
Was amazing.
Yes. Yeah, it just stares into your eyes. But anyway, so it's just full of these poems that I wrote just frantically. It was in high school, mainly my sophomore year. And I think it was just kind of that sophomore slump. I was just feeling all the feels, and you talked about an emotional puberty in your 20s. This was just straight up puberty. I mean, this is me trying to figure out what was love when everything was just infatuation. So that's kind of the context of this. And I think for that poem, I was looking at all these like love poems or these ballads that I was writing in this book that I would never have the gall to share with my crushes. And so I think it was more a lament.
But that's the good stuff, dude. That's your first. It is, man. That's your first good stuff. I'm serious. That's where, if you ever, I'm not joking. As you put together a book, you'll want to save those poems aside. So every fifth or sixth one, you take one of those and you revamp it for now. They are. It's a priceless. It'll remind you why you like poetry. You'll realize how far you've come. So, when you start to feel bad about yourself, like, oh my God, no, I sucked then. Not now. but even on top of that, man, like they said, those striking lines in there were much bigger than someone so young, dude. And the whole idea, seriously, again, my opinion here, the act of sitting down and writing your ideas in such an unconventional form, only for the existence of itself, for our own enjoyment. That is the weirdest, most narcissistic component that makes people love the work. It has to exist. It has to exist for you, because the joy that goes into writing something like that. I truly believe that I got in arguments with so many girlfriends about it. With one girlfriend about this, at the fact, like, so do you think that writers or artists feel more than people? And it's not that we feel more, we feel deeply, coupled with the ability to explain that. That's why we have favorite movies and favorite music, and so, because it's able to connect with us on a level that we were like, we can't say that, but that's exactly it. All the way back to something like Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. That is not just sadness, man. That is despondent brooding in a melody, and I can't, it's never long enough. And for that same reason, and your laments, that's the right word. That's the right word, dude. That's not verbiage I would think to find behind that glorious wolf cover. I thought I could do it.
Nope.
To the word wolf. I'm like,
every time the Wolf Journal comes up, it just makes me giggle.
But I'm serious, man. Oh my God, the cackle I had to hold back. I was like, oh,
right?
Does it lock? No. Please tell me it locks.
No, it doesn't.
Lie to me, dude. Lie to me.
I could install a little lock on it. That would be
no, that'd be priceless. And if the key was like a heart, no, my God. Oh my God.
It opens to a page that just says, "These are the innermost thoughts of Aaron." For Aaron's eyes only.
With wings.
Yes.
Well, now I'm curious, Cliff, do you have any bad poems that maybe haven't been published that you have on a hard drive or something that you might be willing to throw our way?
We'll dig deep.
Yeah.
That haven't been published. I like how you threw that in my face. I've never, no. I thought we were friends, but apparently not.
No, we are here to talk about terrible poetry, and we will hurt your feelings if we want.
And that's why I'm on at all.
But like something that you would never even dare to like submit. Something that you have scrapped that's already on the garbage pile, but somehow still in your files somewhere.
All right. So there was this romance once. That I have written about extensively, and I don't bring things up. It's like, oh, I can't talk about it. It was something I needed to cycle through, and it was a unique experience. And in that process, I wrote about it ad nauseum. The therapeutic component of poetry is true, but it can become nauseating. So she was from Washington State, and there was an issue in this relationship with the inability to get on an airplane and come here. So the poem is called Airplanes Won't Leave Washington. Wah, wah.
This is promising.
Yeah.
Please tell me that the wah-wah is written into the title.
It will be now, as I burn it in effigy after all the bad things that I've done. Okay, so it starts off in italics, very, very, very dramatic. What if it never happens? Cigarettes. I woke up. I walk back. Obsessively. Butts thrown down a drain. The wings of all endured endears themselves to me. No fight means no resolve. Lay down the blade. Live, dance, stay. That's so bad. I can't believe I read this on the air, recorded sober.
I need that written on a kitchen sign rather than live, laugh, love. What was it?
Live, dance, stay.
Yes!
What does that even mean? Stay.
No one will ever know.
Live. What if it never happens? What if it never in italics, so you know that you're I'm so. And this is recent. You did yours with a wolf journal when you were like 13. This is like a 42-year-old dude.
Oh, this is that makes it so much better.
I told you. Yeah, I'll own this.
Okay, so live, dance, stay. Are those each individual lines?
No. Oh God, I just realized it. These are even commaed. Yeah,
they're commaed.
They're commaed.
In one line?
In one line.
Oh,
okay.
My. Oh, my.
That is a strong choice.
That is a strong choice. Live, dance, stay. That's just the last line.
Right? That is the most Minnesotan way of saying, like, what?
I don't know. Yeah, it's butts thrown down a drain. I remember my poetry is literal. Sure. If you think this is what I'm talking about, I handle you. That's exactly what I mean. No. I don't. If the accessibility of a poem, I think, is tantamount to its success. You got to let people get in.
Sure.
It's just the fact. I've got some stories. Oh God, I've had a terrible public. Well, that was published too. But that. Oh man, I got a girl come up to me and ask me, "Is that poem about porn?" No, it's about God. True story. True story. I can find that too. You want to hear that?
You might have to.
Yes.
Come on.
No, we have to.
Okay,
before we leave this train wreck, you had the first line. So it's just like, what if she never gets on the plane? Is that the debate?
Yeah.
Okay.
The wings of all endured, and I remember that relationship got so ridiculous that with like this poem, that I was like, all right, either there's some mistruths being said in this conversation, or all of the heavens and the archangels do not want us to be dating, and so there were. I promise, there were some good ones to come out of this batch. Sure. But so I'm gonna have to put live, dance, stay into something.
Yes, please.
That's a joke.
That's so good.
And my question, my follow up to that is are those instructions to you as the writer, to the reader, or to the love that will never be, that she just live, dance, and stay in Washington?
I never thought about that. Oh, you were the coolest man. You were kicking me in the teeth there, and then in the very end, like, oh, before you start crying, Cliff, let me save you. Give me your hand.
Through your trauma, how can we make it worse?
Give me your hand, and I'm going to drop you like Mufasa. And it's all good. It's all good. Don't look down, boo boo. Don't look down.
Don't look down.
No, I think it's to her. It's to her. Okay. It's to her. Wow, yeah. we just worked through something there.
We did something. Yeah, we had a moment.
Oh my god! If y'all, honestly, if you put this as like your show subtitle, bad poetry, live, dance, stay. I'll give you $1,000. I swear to God.
It'll show up in the show notes somewhere. It has to.
It's gotta be.
Yes.
Oh, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. Oh, I'm not kidding, dude. I'm not kidding you.
Okay. Did you have time to find this this poem of the spiritual poem that's porn?
Okay. Look. Yes and no. Page 41.
Oh, this is in one of your books. Okay, which book is it?
Yeah, the first one, The Draw of Broken Eyes and Whirling Metaphysics. It's two books in one. People are like, oh my god.
Yeah, because you did a revamp of it recently, like a
that's crazy. There's a British version of it too. No, I'm sorry. There's a British version of Athena Departs. There's a limited.
Do you just change the spelling of like color or something?
No. It was published by a British publisher.
Oh, got it. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Dude, I let you off light answering that joke. I let you off so light. I was at a British publisher. Well, there's a country called Britain, and in said country, they publish books.
Really?
Stand back.
Okay, I'm learning so much.
And betwixt these two, the U.S. and this island, there's a big body of water, so you can't just hip, skap, and a jump. It's a bit beyond that. That's Europe, but we'll talk about that next time.
Okay.
This poem. This poem is called "Kneeling by the River." Now, give me a second. Just let me
compose yourself.
Kneeling by the river. In this stream, the current is freezing. God looks through this conduit without ill will or culpability. She just smiles and gets to business. Now, this is God as nature. Now, this is also circling back around to the very first poem where you're talking about your trauma, but I did bring that up and kick you, did I? No.
You should have.
We're back. We're here now again, aren't we? So
like a bad penny.
Yeah, like a bad show I've ever been on. It's got to be read. It's got to be read this way for people to hear the reverence in what I'm doing and saying about nature and Mother Nature and that thing to be okay. Now let me change the way I read the poem.
Okay.
Kneeling by the river. In this stream, the current is freezing. God looks through this conduit without ill will or culpability. She just smiles and gets to business.
Oh, gosh.
Right. Same poem.
It's almost like voice matters.
That's what... He's trying to steal your thunder, Aaron, and you're letting him do it. You're letting him do it.
He can have
disappointed.
It.
No.
He needs his time to shine. You don't understand, Cliff.
Wow, dude, your timing is impeccable. You landed that with 10 toes in the earth, my friend.
Yeah.
Bravo. Dave, you're lacking this evening, cousin.
I'm trying real hard.
Aaron is a samurai, man.
I wouldn't say samurai. I'd say monster. Because he's just horrific. But yeah, samurai, you could make that argument.
You saw me try to withhold judgment. I was like,
you were trying to be kind, and then it broke like a massive dam.
It hurts on the inside when I do that. I don't. For a moment, I feel that having a soul thing, and it's like, no, gotta stop that. I'm an artist.
Nah, that's boring.
Ooh, you just gotta eat the world. Eat it or burn it. Eat it or burn it.
God works through you as a conduit either way.
I do believe that. All jokes aside, that's a real cool thing to say, and I don't ever I don't get up on a soapbox about it. Like I don't about breakups or about being in love or about family. I don't make it a spectacle. I don't know. And as much as we're joking, I defy either one of you to say that at some point recently you haven't written something and gone, what is that about?
Mm-hmm.
I've read poems from my first book that I'll flip through. That's the benefit to writing a much longer, it's a technical thing on the craft side, much longer book of poetry is that people are far more likely to buy it. And it gives you so much more breathing room to express your range. And then the back end benefit is that you have a much longer period to write your next book.
Sure.
Which is critical to your ongoing success, that people aren't going, I've read this already. You talked about this already.
You have the break for creativity. Yeah.
The same thing is, I don't think there's really a writer's block as much as it is the mind and the imagination needing to recharge.
Yeah.
You know, and there again, it goes into that conduit thing. As a man of faith, I cut up, and my language is not always what you would say in church.
What?
I know. And like I say, this I've been very professional thus far. You both are very welcome. I don't always do this for everyone, but I'll conform because you two are rude. No, it's like this conversation that we're having. Like, I don't know y'all, and this is extraordinarily natural, and to sit here and be like, I've never tried to dig up bad poetry, and then to not be self-aware of it. That's the reason that you need bad poetry, is that writing a bad poem, like this one. The reason I set it aside, because I was like, I'm done with this. I'm except for that last line, which, just because it's now an inside joke, I'm going to work it in every book I write for the rest of my life.
You better.
In fact, my next book is going to be titled "Live, Dance, Stay."
Yes,
I'm saying
welcome.
If you're not willing to be the idiot, you're going to be a terrible poet.
I like that.
I just made it up. That's pretty good, right?
That's pretty good.
I like right now, like whenever you see me looking at my side of my face, like, hey, did that land? Did that sound good?
Yeah, no, that's good.
Are we gonna cut that? Oh, right, made it weird. I am so vain. It is disgusting. But there's not even an almost thing. It's the same as being a clown. I don't mean that in a purely jokester kind of way, but to be that one so vulnerable that you'll be the fool. And therein lies the biggest challenge to poetry that sticks, is that you stand there the clown, but you don't get melodramatic. That's where this poem goes, where the Washington poem goes. Where you dip into it with the no one's gonna like me because my words don't stick and they don't have armpit hair.
Right?
No girl will give me smooches. Dude, you got to talk about that stuff, man, because that never goes away. No. We say that same. We think it in those same words. That's why it's so easy for me to bring up.
Yeah.
That needs to be a vulnerability. That needs to exist within poetry that allows it to jump genders. Therein again it takes emotional awareness, bravery, and the willingness to, man, like, you can't know how people are going to take that poem, and guaranteed, gospel truth, guaranteed, the poem that you, as you're coming out of the bathroom, jot down on toilet paper and then throw into the computer, people will adore and will win you money. The one you sit there and work on for 10 years and devote your life to and your sanity to and your relationships to, the thing that you hold up like the 10 Commandments, people are going to go, wah, 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 wah.
Right?
That's harsh.
No, that's something we've talked about.
Yeah, that is something we've talked about.
I mean, that just like you're sitting there, just literally like up on the mountain. This will be monumental. This is my Ozymandias. And people are like, "Why did you do this to us? We liked you for so long, Cliff, and then who hurt you, and why do you hurt others? But this is my favorite thing. Tell me I'm beautiful. It's you got to be willing to fall on your face.
Well, Oh man, we could talk for ages, Cliff, and I worry that we will.
Yeah, but this feels good right here.
Yeah, but if we talk any longer, you might start to judge us for our incompetence when it comes to the.
Too late. Too late.
But before we let you go,
yeah, man.
Here at My Bad Poetry, we end each week with the words of a true poet. And so, would you be willing to share one of your poems that you are particularly proud of?
Yeah, man. Let me see. I remember the earth. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former things will not be remembered or come to mind. Isaiah 65:17. I remember the earth. I imagine her a harsh matron. She snaps string beans between the idols of Hermes and Hercules. It is impossible to think of the earth without her face, a spell cast beyond our embryonic farewell. The earth, like the womb with a view, the one-room apartment. It took 11 hours to leave. I carved Brooks was here down her spine and uterine wall when it was clear of my exile. The earth hasn't, God hasn't, life begetting life hasn't forged a keenness for humans. What's the stuff that spins us into a thicket? Eros. I met her in an emotionally crippled condition under the influence, under bridges, preoccupied by attrition. Great faith crests Hume's causality, perhaps purgatory, because mankind tends to muck up perfection. It's in our building. It's in a few rooms away, probably petrified to share the insight or their career while sitting there serene and sincere. Hawaiian night marchers, broken horses, rocket launchers, Okinawa, an extraction plan in Atlanta, a second freedom ride from me. My Harlequin idea of heroism bent on a cauliflowered ear. The cosmos clapped out lightning, out rods, out at Cape Cod and Alderaan. We stand straight with our backs to old promises, forgotten rain. And over time, your scarves and forever snoozed morning alarms tie off my addiction. The contradictions I root up like rubies. Deception was the strongest, tallest wall. Not at all. It is a prison silent and savage, our language smeared like lipstick on a mirror saying, go, run, now. The eye of the covetous me, the boy in the mid-70s set free, grown into a third-person perspective with room for two, baggage abandoned on the curb. Do not pry or disturbed. I remember the earth. I got to tell you, when I scrolled down, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know I picked a monster.
No, it was worth it. No, it was worth it.
That
was
beautiful.
Great. Yeah.
Oh man, y'all, this was so much fun.
This was great.
This is more than I deserve.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I know this is cliche, but is there anything you kind of want to plug or talk about before we let you go?
Yeah, man. Check out the Blue Mountain Review, the Southern Collective Experience.com. All the good stuff is there. Brooks.com is my setup. My teachable courses on how not to be a terrible writer, called The Working Writer, are on teachable.com under the Brooks sessions. I would really dig it if y'all would check that out for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
This has been My Bad Poetry.
Now go write some of your own bad poetry. Man, y'all both being pastors, that lit up my whole evening. I'm serious.
It's weird, but I like it.
No, it's not at all.
We surprise every single one of our guests.
Rhyme free doesn't matter.